Hi everyone, and welcome to this month's Click Intelligence episode of SEO Expert Insights. My name is James Owen and I'm the co-founder of Click Intelligence. In this month's edition, I'm not going to be talking about SEO industry news. I want to give you my opinion on two subjects: where the SEO industry is going and what type of link building should I be doing in 2023 and beyond. Before we jump into this month's SEO Expert Insights, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up to our newsletter and online portal. Let's jump right in. Okay, so the first subject I want to talk about is where the SEO industry is going. We had a SEO client come to us and ask us to do a SEO proposal for them, and the SEO proposal was looking at SEO strategy and then also looking at doing a technical SEO audit. We provided them with a proposal, with a quote, time frame, expectations, so on and so forth. We then didn't hear back from them for a little while. There was some kind of on-off dialogue, but nothing crazy. We weren't able to sign them at a point of giving them the proposal the first time. Subsequently, we found out from them they were revamping a website. Fine, not a problem. They asked us to update our proposal, which we did for them. And then on the proposal we did for them, they kind of came back and said, "Look, thanks for your proposal. Looks really good. However, we got a question for you. We just about finished revamping our website, and we've been using SEMrush, Ahrefs as SEO tools, but we got to beg the question: why do we need to employ an SEO agency if we've got these SEO tools?" That question was via email, and the account manager can open it up for the rest of the SEO team, because this is an interesting kind of question. Kind of, why do you need a SEO company if you've got these SEO tools? Their argument on email was, look, we've hit the button on our SEO audit on Ahrefs and SEMrush. Why do we need you? We can follow the steps and do our own SEO. So that was a quite interesting kind of question. Not something that's come up at all ever, but as we go into the world of AI, and they mentioned, we're using ChatGPT to help us write the content. This is probably the first proposal prior to ChatGPT being released last November. So it's kind of all new technologies that have happened since then. And then essentially they asked, well, look, we're using ChatGPT to write content. Of course, my opinion on that, which we'll probably go into in a little while as well. We kicked around within the SEO team, and the SEO team kind of said, look, you can use these SEO tools. They're great. All clients should have access to these. 100%, you should be having access to your key rankings, the links that you're acquiring, that people kind of link building to you, just for kind of monitoring basis from a simplicity standpoint. But when you're using the SEO tools in terms of the auditing tools, they are kind of one-dimensional. Okay, you're going to put URL in. Sometimes they are, simplest tools will ask for a couple of keywords, right? Because they're going to check the keywords on that page. But generally speaking, the SEMrush and Ahrefs tools don't necessarily ask for that. They literally just look at the site from a error standpoint. Okay, from a SEO 101. Have you got fundamental problems with your website? Very, very high level. And we went on to say, please use the tools, but they're very, very high level. We kind of said, look, you can use the technology to give you guidance. You can use the technology to monitor your progress within the SERP for the keywords you care about. And you can monitor in terms of amount of backlinks that you're acquiring through outreach and kind of natural acquisition. But it's not going to give you strategy. It's not going to tell you the type of content that you need. It's not going to tell you how to set up your site correctly. This particular client had quite a few international sites that weren't set up correctly. It wasn't going to give you the correct kind of setup, if you should go kind of subdomain or subfolder strategy. So, all these tools are amazing, but there are limitations. It's kind of saying, let's run our SEO strategy through ScreamFrog. And ScreamFrog is a great tool, groundbreaking. When I started in SEO, we didn't have those sort of tools. So when ScreamFrog came on the scene, it was great, but it is very good at what it does. It crawls the website, it brings you back errors, it tells you your page title, description, H1s, and obviously things have progressed since then in terms of what other things it can give you, but there are limitations to it. You can't run your strategy for that. Can SEMrush give you hints and tips on what content you should write? Maybe, but in terms of actual insight, you still need to employ an SEO agency to help you with that, or someone in-house, or a consultant who's got years and years and years worth of experience of actually how to interpret this type of data. So that was quite interesting for that client in terms of that question, that that was really quite kind of unique. And this kind of comes on to the emergence of AI content and kind of where we see the SEO industry going. Now, AI has been pretty bad for copywriters, okay? The kind of content industry has been hit hard. There was an article from the optional.com website that was talking about something like 4,000 people a month in the US losing their jobs to AI, which is kind of incredible stats. The article was talking about a copywriter that kind of lost her job. She was a freelancer. She just saw a decrease in the amount of jobs she was getting from her clients. And essentially, she could to chat GPT and in the sense that clients can get better copy from AI than human. So to kind of answer the question of this segment, which was kind of where the SEO industry is going, we got to look at kind of where Google's going a little bit as well. Google was stunned by ChatGPT and what Bing was doing with them. Kind of Google then released Google Bard a few months later. You know, a good part of the first few months of this year was all about kind of AI, and obviously with ChatGPT, the momentum is really fast. As I said before, people losing their jobs, and so that's kind of scary for everyone, really. But let's go back to the Google mission statement. I mentioned this quite a few times on this channel again. You know, Google mission statement is to organise the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And kind of useful is an important word here, because essentially, in terms of what Google's seeing as helpful content, useful content, is really key at the moment. And this is where there's a bit of a grey area with AI content, because Google hasn't come outright recently said we don't like AI content. They come out and said as long as it's helpful and useful to user and high quality, AI content can be used. There are limitations with AI content, as everyone knows. You know, you could probably ask it to write a further 500-word article. It'll probably be okay. You need to give it quite a lot of edits, you know, kind of editing to a piece of content. And, you know, after a certain amount of time, the content will probably be okay. Not saying you should do that, but, you know, definitely, you know, in terms of kind of giving you a bit of structure to what you should be writing, maybe, you know, writing SEO title descriptions, maybe article ideas. I think that's perfectly fine. Going and kind of writing a 3,000-word article long from a piece of content that's going to be what I call gold content, that's completely written by AI content and not edited or rewritten by a human isn't going to work. But things are obviously moving ahead in this way that eventually, you know, you may be able to do that. We're not there yet. We wouldn't recommend it. As I say, just use it for ideas and kind of low intent, low quality content that's on your site that it makes sense to use it for. So, you know, Google is looking for content. It has to be helpful, has to be useful. We're seeing in the SERP that Google's now favouring the bigger brands and also sites that have long form content. You know, when you're targeting what I believe are commercial terms, they're now favouring brands on the kind of long form content, which is kind of interesting, but also at the same time, they're probably testing to see the impact of that in terms of, is it actually universally accessible to everyone that is kind of useful, kind of helpful. Really, really important. Got to nail that. If you're not marrying up the content that you're writing to what Google's showing and displaying in the SERP, you're not going to win, okay? If you're typing in a search term and Google's showing big brands and or sites with long form content, maybe that piece of content has real reviews or comments from people. So essentially, when you're writing content, you're not marrying up what Google's already showing and you're just trying to show a product page when they got long form content, you know, you're not going to win. So that's something you've really got to be looking at as well. Make sure content is correct and marries up what we want to show everyone. To summarise, marrying up right content to what Google's kind of looking for, that search query is incredibly important. Next thing kind of coming down the track, kind of a link spam update, which kicked in. You know, I'm seeing a lot of sites that had been doing quite a lot of the same type of link building have seen impact. Okay, sites that have kind of low quality type links, and this is kind of going back to days of Penguin in terms of, you know, just build quality over quantity. You know, I'm still seeing people building low quality links, not necessarily kind of that match, you know, all looks natural, but the site is a made for SEO website. It's not really quality or authentic. And again, if they're putting content out on the site that is not helpful, why is Google going to give, you know, kind of pass value from that site to your website? So essentially, you know, making sure that you're building links and acquiring links from really good reputable websites, real websites that have real traffic, that, you know, look real, aren't made for SEO, aren't part of some sort of link network. All those things are really important. So, you know, where's the SEO industry going? My opinion is Google is going down the route of ensuring that they're showing the most reputable and useful and helpful websites. If you're not answering the question that a user is searching for, relatively quick on your landing page, they're going to bounce, and Google will see that you're not answering questions particularly well, other websites are doing a better job, and you're not being helpful or useful. You're not going to do as well as someone who's answering questions really quickly and giving other examples, so on and so forth. So it's kind of going back to basics now of let's get the structure of your website correct, the markup of your website correct, getting the right content on your website. Again, matching up the search query to whatever, not say competitors, but, other sites are doing within a SERP that you're trying to rank for. So marrying up your content to the right SERP. And also, your link building campaigns, your link acquisition. It's about mixing things up. It's about making sure that it's quality over quantity and making sure that the links that you're acquiring are kind of right in the sites are about your subject opposed to about everything, which I think could be causing some problems. So that's kind of where things go in the SEO industry. Back to basics, bit of AI stuff in there, Google helpful content, and kind of link spam update. Okay, so the next segment I want to discuss with you is what link building should be doing in 2023 and beyond. But I want to share with you a little kind of story before I go into kind of what I think you should be doing. So as I'm a co-founder and director of Click Intelligence, it's kind of my job to have my thumb on the pulse of the SEO industry to ensure that we're doing the right things for our clients. I see things come down the track and we can update things, change strategies, whatever the case may be. And through that, I sign up to lots of newsletters, seeing what people are doing, seeing what people are kind of talking about. And I've been a subscriber of an email newsletter of this particular website, which I won't name for obvious reasons, for probably about 10, 15 years. It's a very, very well-known SEO forum, and they sell their advertising space. So they sell their email newsletter databases to sellers to sell their SEO services and products to their subscriber list and kind of database. And I received this email probably about a month ago. The email newsletter was actually quite funny. I found it quite funny when I received it because I couldn't believe people were still peddling this stuff. And people are buying it. And essentially, it was a classic kind of link wheel circle of links pointing to your money page type scenario. So essentially, they were saying, okay, we're going to build you 2.0 profiles that are then going to link to some article links that you built, and then links to some blogger outreach links, and eventually link to your money page. And potentially 10, 15 years ago, this might have worked on a very, very low level, not competitive industry or key term. It might have worked. It certainly doesn't work now, the way they were doing it anyway, at least. And it kind of got me thinking of, are people still actually buying this stuff and wasting money? It was crazy. I think they're charging maybe a few $100s for it, but it doesn't really matter. You might as well go out, put $200 on barbecue and just set light to it. I mean, complete waste of time. Essentially, you got your money page, you built some blogger outreach links to it, which was part of their PBN network. We've spoken about that on our website and our blog and what to do those sort of things, why you shouldn't do it. So I won't go into that in any detail. Then, so they got the PBN links, then they build some article links into those PBN links. They talk about kind of spinning content as well, because that's obviously what you should be doing, is spinning content articles, then linking to your PBN articles, and then to give some value to your articles, we want to create some social bookmarking and Web 2.0 kind of profiles. Essentially, you're building no value into no value into no value into the PBN network, which probably has value for a week or so, or a month or so, or until Google comes along and finds out about it and just de-index it into your money page. It doesn't work. There's no value, and you're playing with fire. You can't control the PBN network. They can turn it on, turn it off. The content's going to be spun like hell, and Google may find out about it, and then you're going to be maybe penalised. The premise of the video was, don't do that. It's cheap, that's great, but it won't give you any value long term. And I think that's what it's about. When we're working with our clients, it's all about, it's going to take 6 to 9 months from the go to get you into really competitive positions. Potentially, you're going to see within 3 months, you'll see some traffic. Within 6 months, we're on page for some longer tail keywords, perhaps. And in 9 months, you're going to be on page 1 for the keywords you care about. That's generally the kind of the trajectory and the kind of story. And essentially, we're doing it in a safe manner. We want you to be here in 24 months, in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years, we're going to build this up for you. So that's kind of really, really important and kind of key here. Other things to kind of consider, actually, what type of link building should you be doing? As I said in the first segment, it's about quality over quantity. I think, building backlinks to your links has its merit. Of course it does. Building quality links, when you build a long form piece of content, let's say you build a really good piece of resource, long form content, skyscraper content, and on a really good reputable website, you are going to acquire backlinks to that piece of content. Of course you are, absolutely. And there's going to be value added. That is a way to do the proper strategy in terms of acquiring links. That's completely natural. That is what should be happening anyway. If you've got a good piece of content, links to it, and then you'll be in a really good place. In terms of kind of what type of link building should be doing, it's kind of broken down into kind of 3 or 4 main categories. You've got your blogger outreach, which is kind of the staple of your link building campaign. As I mentioned before, quality over quantity. I'll be looking at kind of DA 30s, 40 and 50s, making sure that the site has a good amount of traffic, kind of domain authority there, but also look at DR as well. Domain rating needs to be of high quality as well, has real traffic, ranks for lots of keywords. Website needs to look as natural as possible, real website, not made for SEO, not PBN, stuff like that. So good staple is blogger outreach, and I say use brand assets as much as you can. The next one to kind of talk about is Harrow. This is kind of a new one. It's been around for quite some time, but more mainstream. And kind of Harrow essentially is where the press come out to us, the agency, and essentially ask us to write a piece of content for one of our clients. Okay, that's going to sit maybe as a comment on a website in terms of a kind of interview piece of content about a certain subject. Good for branding. Again, you can get a sprinkling of these. It's not a mass link building kind of tactic. There's not a huge amount of websites that kind of offer this, but definitely good part of the link building campaign and definitely worth investing over a SEO campaign. Next one, definitely to get involved with, the resource link building. Now, this is, there's lots of different strategies within kind of resource link building. Now, they're normally skyscraper campaigns that answer a question, give a guide about something, and essentially we'll go ahead and write a piece of content and we basically host it on your website. And essentially we outreach and get it cited on other websites that are talking about similar subjects to the subject you're talking about. And again, it could be a list of links within another resource. Okay, that links to your resource. It could be a kind of Harrow type link that kind of sits within that piece of content as well. So essentially, we're building links to this kind of skyscraper piece of content. It's going to be, it needs to be super high quality. It could be, between kind of 2 to 5 or even 10,000 words long. You have graphics. You might have infographic embedded within it. So kind of a real bit of gold content that we'll kind of build for a client. And essentially, say we then acquire links from other resources pointing to your resource. So that's kind of resource link building. Kind of broken link building goes in the same way as well, where basically you still build content and you go after general backlinks that have been broken. In the same scenario, hey, can you replace this broken link with my link? Type of conversation. Create links. Similar to kind of blogger outreach in a sense that essentially we're outreaching to a webmaster to say, hey, can we place a link on this page? We have a good resource, or this is a really good product or good article, so on and so forth. So that's kind of the links that I think are worth exploring, weaving into your SEO campaign. Again, it's about quality over quantity. We're looking at going after the kind of DA 30s, 40s and 50s, more than 40s and 50s, if I'm being honest with you. You want to make sure you pick the websites as well. So pre-prove your sites that you're doing link building with and ensure that they are real reputable websites, they have real traffic, they rank for lots of keywords, and they've been around for a long time. Thank you for watching this month's episode of the Click Intelligence SEO Expert Insights. Please subscribe to our newsletter for first look exclusive access if you miss any episodes. Catch up on our YouTube channel and other learning resources for other SEO news. Check out our Knowledge Hub. I'll catch you up on the next episode of the Click Intelligence SEO Expert Insights.